creativity is what's going to give you differentiation, uniqueness, and a competitive edge. It's what really allows individuals to become uncommon amongst uncommon people. And when you see a fighter like Conor McGregor fight a fighter like Khabib, if you know the backstory of that fight, Conor McGregor lost to Khabib.
Давай, пройди, сделай свое дело! Relax, relax! Go to the takedown! Go to the takedown! 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 Out the center!
He lost to Khabib, but his trash talk was better. His image was better. The way he walks is better. The way he dresses is better. The watch he wears is better. So on and so forth. And what does this show you? It shows you that you have the product quality, aka the actual results, aka the skills that you bring to the table, the value that you bring to the table, how you actually present yourself, and there's the perception of those skills and qualities and value that you bring to the table. So there's the actual abilities that you have, and there's how the public will perceive those abilities. AKA, Conor McGregor is not as good a fighter as Khabib is. Clearly, when they matched up, Conor lost fair and square, but Khabib is a better fighter, but he won't be perceived to the public necessarily as being a better fighter. Why? Or he won't be as famous or make as much money. Why? Because public perception is different than the actual skills and qualities that you bring to the table. So what's important to note, when you have a creative edge, this gives you differentiation and can allow you to now market your skills better. It can allow you to tap into flow at a deeper level, and it can allow you to also find a competitive edge that other people don't have. It allows you to stand out from the crowd. So it is not just a creative recreation of the way that you look, the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the watch you wear, the way that your swagger, the way that you dress, your level of confidence, that the fact that you never share doubt, so on and so forth. It's not just a creativity when it comes to that. It's creativity when it comes to the way in which you build your game, the way in which you build your skill set, drawing parallels from the outside world, thinking more holistically, comparing your skill set to other people's skill set. And there's that old saying that good artists copy and great artists steal, taking what someone else has done, stealing it, and embedding your DNA into what you stole, embedding your creative input into what you stole, embedding your flow, your swagger into the skills, into what you've gotten from other people, and putting it all together in a witch's brew and making something completely new and something completely fresh. And let's go back to that Conor McGregor and Khabib example. That's just one example in sports. There's other examples in sports as well. Look at Tim Duncan and look at Kobe Bryant. Tim Duncan is fundamentally sound in basketball. Both of them have 5 championships, so the result is the same. But have you even heard of Tim Duncan? When is the last time you even thought of Tim Duncan on the basketball court? You probably haven't thought of him at all. And what does that show you? That shows you very clearly that creativity creates a differentiator. Kobe Bryant is the Black Mamba. His footwork is different. His skills are different. He winds up and down the court like a snake. He has creativity. He has a competitive edge to his personality. This all must come, your version of this must come from deep within. Creativity must come from deep within. But it's hard to have a creative edge for a number of different reasons. First of all, it's hard to have a creative edge because you want to add creativity to your game, to your business, to your swagger, to your skill set. And you want to add that creativity to yourself to give you that competitive edge, but you haven't even mastered the fundamentals of your craft first. Master the fundamentals, become Tim Duncan before you become Kobe Bryant. Do that first. From there, what you need to think about is how can you begin to get into a creative flow? Because a lot of times business and other different avenues, it's hard to get into a creative flow. Why is it hard? Because our mind is monopolized by all these different things that are like leeches draining our energy. And we must evaluate that. Because if our brain's energy is being drained, that means we're taken out of the present moment. When we're taken out of the present moment, it makes it harder to access a flow state. When it's harder to access a flow state, it's harder to gain creative insight. And when it's harder to gain creative insight, it's harder to even have an authentic type of creativity. All these things are connected, but it starts with unplugging the things that are draining your energy. That can be, you have to look at your brain and think about, have some brain awareness, almost like meditation. Think about what are the things that are pulling away at your energy. First and foremost, number one, biological drives. The drive for survival, the drive for resources, the drive for sex, food, to be comfortable, basic things like that. Well, know how much of your mind is being pulled in those directions. Next is ego gratification and social status. The drive to have a better car than your neighbor, the drive to look cooler than other people, the drive to have your friends be jealous of you, so on and so forth. How much of your brain is monopolized by that? The next one is just basic level conditioning. Your family, friends, and fools have put into you. How much of your brain is monopolized by that? Are you on drugs, alcohol, eating junk food, locked into consumer culture in a negative way, not a positive way? Are you overstimulated by television, your smartphone, social media, so on and so forth? So you got to evaluate the things that are pulling your energy and gain your energy back. Once you've gone through those things one by one and you've either cut them off or you've established a healthy relationship with them, not being pulled around in an addictive relationship with them where they're monopolizing your mental bandwidth. Once you've established a healthy relationship or you've cut them off, you will regain your energy. And when you regain your energy, you'll lock into the moment more. When you're locked more into the moment, you'll get more into a flow state, you'll get more into creativity, you'll get more in touch with your authentic creative input. But the creative input has to come from a place of authenticity. And what does that mean? First of all, if you look at Conor McGregor, part of that is well thought out marketing, the trash talk, so on and so forth. The tattoos, so on and so forth. You know, how much of that is authentic expression and how much of that is marketing? It's hard to gauge, but it's going to be a mix of the two of them. So I want you to think about that for your life. How much of creative expression should be used for pure marketing, purely like tactical marketing? Like trash talking in a fight is a great example. That is pure tactical marketing. If you look at McGregor and Floyd Mayweather trash talking before their fight, and then you look at, there's all these videos of them respecting each other, dabbing each other up after the fight's over, and they show respect to one another. So how much of that trash talk was even real? Leading up to the fight, Floyd Mayweather was on Jimmy Kimmel's show, talk show, and he was like, and Jimmy Kimmel, he's like, do you like Floyd Mayweather? Floyd's like, hell no, I don't like Floyd Mayweather. I don't like him at all. It's not all real. Behind the scenes, a lot of these guys respect each other, but they're doing it purely for tactical marketing. So where can you use creativity purely for tactical marketing? The other side of it is not thinking about tactical marketing because it's thinking about authentic creative expression. And authentic creative expression means you have to take on a mindset that I will be loved or hated for this expression. It's not just for marketing. Marketing is to scale your image. Marketing is to make yourself relatable to the masses of people. It's to create that rope of relatability or that ramp of relatability so that they can understand the value that you're bringing to the table. Because as I said before, people don't just value the value that you're actually bringing to the table, they value the perceived value that you're bringing to the table. So marketing and creative marketing create that ramp of relatability. The other side of it is authentic creative expression. And what does that mean? You have to realize, you have to get comfortable with the fact that you're going to become a polarizing figure through that. If you look at McGregor and the loudmouthness, if you look at Kobe Bryant and the fact that he embodies a snake, those are like polarizing things. Look at McGregor, like him doing the little walk. All these things he's stacking up. A lot of that is his own personality. A lot of that's not just tactical marketing. A lot of that is his own personality. And you see that because you could see he's embodying the spirit of like a Celtic warrior. And Kobe Bryant's embodying the spirit of like a black mamba on the court, right? So to them, they know what makes their dopamine go. They know what puts them in flow. They know where they feel authentic. And maybe their mommy doesn't approve of that. Maybe their friends don't approve of that. Maybe their cousins don't approve of that. Maybe society doesn't at large approve of that because it's deep and it's masculine, but they themselves approve of that. They know when they become that. When McGregor steps into the octagon, he becomes that Celtic warrior. When Kobe steps on the court, he becomes the black mamba. They know that is a space for them to be themselves. And when they are themselves in that way, the true art of it will resonate. So true art resonates. True creativity resonates. And that is something that money can't buy and marketing tactics can't buy. People know when you are different. People know when you put your creative expression into your craft and into yourself. People know it. They can see it off you. They can smell it off you. It's oozing out of your pores. They see it. The self is always shining through. You have to think about, what do you actually want to embody? And this is gonna make you different, and it's gonna make you more eccentric, and it's gonna make you more polarizing. But if it's gonna make you more eccentric, what does that mean? That means that you have to be comfortable by holding the frame, by being that individual. This also means that you have to be comfortable being different. Eccentric people are comfortable being different. And realize that once you get a little bit of success being more creative in terms of the way you dress, talk, having swagger, when you actually make money doing that, or when you have social approval doing that, then people who previously shamed you for being different will now give you approval for being different. You have to be comfortable holding the frame, saying, I'm just this person. You can't be half a gangster with this. If you're 99% confident, that is not good enough. If you're 50% confident, half a gangster, that's certainly not good enough. But if you're 99% confident, that's not good enough. You have to be 100% confident that I'm going to now dress up in this way, look in this way, have tattoos in this way if that's necessary for you, have earrings in this way, talk in this way, curse if I want to curse, AKA being yourself and being polarizing being yourself. If we're looking at authentic expression, you have to think about it in terms of, obviously you're going to be weird. Beyond just being weird, eccentric, polarizing, different, you have to think in terms of how are you going to get that. We talked about getting rid of the things that are draining our brain of energy so that we can now begin to actually resonate with the flow state, resonate with the moment, and understand what that, download that creative image of ourselves, download the higher self. How do we do that? You have to come from a frame of completeness now. And I'm using Kobe and Conor McGregor as examples because they're great examples of creative expression. Before Kobe won a championship, before he won his first championship, he was always that intense guy. He was always the Black Mamba. And we're gonna put in clips to show you that before championship. Before Conor McGregor was a UFC champion, he was still that Celtic warrior. You could see it in his personality. So what does this mean? What does this show you? What does this show you on a silver platter? It shows you that they had the foundation and the base of being that archetype of person before they had the results in the physical world. I'm a partial believer in the law of attraction. I think there's parts of it that stand true. I think a lot of it doesn't stand true. But in this case, for the sake of this example, if you look at McGregor and Kobe, they had a sense of completion before they ever winning championships. So what does that show you? They were okay with creative expression before they had actual physical results. What does this mean for you? You probably are thinking, I can only express myself in that eccentric way, or that way of differentiation, once I've made my $1 million, or once I've made partner at the law firm, or once I've done XYZ specific results. Probably big and specific result. You're kicking that off the can down the line into the future. But if you could not train that neuropathway of I'll be happy when, if you can say I'm complete now, then what begins to happen is from a place of saying, I'm already my end vision now, feeling like you already have the championships now, feeling like you already have the millions now, then from that place, you're not going to be complacent. We don't want to put ourselves in that headspace as hustlers and entrepreneurs because we feel like it's going to make us complacent. But when we feel like I am my end vision now, you won't be complacent. Your cup will runneth over with energy because you're going to naturally resonate with wanting to engage with the work and naturally begin to resonate with a certain creative vision for yourself on how you can express yourself and then how you can creatively express yourself through your craft. How you can express yourself and how you can express yourself through your craft. And that comes from a place of completeness. But you have to start. You can't say, I'm gonna make the million and then I will be creative. That's not gonna happen. To reiterate, people are not going to value you just because you yourself have value, good qualities, and skills. They're not gonna value it. Even legendary champions of the past, it's part of the reason they were legendary champions is because they had differentiation, they had creativity, and they were relatable to the public. Think about all the legendary champions in sports that you don't even know about. It's because they were boring. So you have to think very clearly about how you're going to use creativity to market yourself. How will you stand out from the pack? And what specific creative tactics can you use to become more relatable and to scale attention to the masses of people? So that, it doesn't have to be the masses of people. It could be to a very specific niche as well. I don't scale to the masses of people, I scale to a niche. That's the first thing we have to think about. The next thing we must think about is how can I begin to have creative expression just for the sake of creative expression? And how can this give me a competitive edge? Because remember, as I said, true art resonates. McGregor, he's different because he looks like a Celtic warrior. Kobe is different because he looks like the Black Mamba. What is your version of the Black Mamba? What is your version of the Celtic warrior? And we all have our version of that, but we can't even get in touch with it if we don't, first of all, remove the things that are pulling away at our energy. That's number one. Number two is come from a framework, at least as a thought experiment, a mental framework of putting ourselves in a headspace of, I'm complete now. And the third is to get the fundamental skill of being able to train your mind to lock into the present moment. So there's many, many different ways of training the brain to do this. Meditation is a fundamental skill. If you were to train meditation consistently, you're training your mind to stay in the present moment, and that's gonna help you get in touch with creativity as well. So for this, the second chapter is all about using creativity to become inhuman. You have to begin to project an image onto individuals that doesn't make you look like them. They just think you're cut from a different cloth than them. Part of this is using the leverage that you already have. Where do you have social proof currently? Where do you have fame currently? Where do you have social status currently? Leverage all of that. Next is using different leverage systems. What's a marketing system you can use? What are industry-specific systems that you can help leverage you to a different level? What are different social media agencies you can use to leverage you to a different level? Because when all you show to people is your highlight reel, they will begin to think you are cut from a different cloth than them. And this obviously has its pros and its cons, but here I'm going to talk about the pros. You want it so that people look at you and you're so unrelatable to them that they just immediately categorize you as inhuman, like an alien. And if you want an example of this in your own life, go watch Michael Jordan dunk from the free throw line. We use a lot of sports examples in this video. If you watch Michael Jordan dunk from the free throw line in like an ESPN highlight, that's not usually real to individuals. You'll watch him dunk from the free throw line and you're just gonna, you forget that you're human and he's human. Now obviously he might be genetically superior than you, but that doesn't mean anything. He's still a human, you're still a human. He had 11, now is he showing you the fact that he had 11 coaches? No. Is he showing you the fact that he trained with Tim Grover, one of the greatest athletic trainers to ever exist? No. Is he showing you his whole training regimen? No. Is he showing you him competing, black and white footage of him training every day with his younger brothers, competing with them at a very young age? No. So you're not seeing the bigger picture. You're just seeing the highlight reel. What is your version of the highlight reel? What is an image you can flash in front of people that makes you look inhuman? Now I'll give you an example. When I public speak on stage, or when some of my other buddies who public speak alongside with me, we speak on stage, the audience oftentimes gets starstruck. We get a certain halo effect, and they will even get nervous or too excited in our presence, which in turn boosts up our halo effect and reduces their halo effect. Now they're not seeing the fact that we've been public speaking forever. They're not seeing the fact that I make a lot of videos, so I have a lot of practice speaking. They're not seeing the fact that me and him did sauna and cold plunge the night before and did deep recovery, so that when we show up to the event, we'll smash through it. They're not seeing the fact that we have a certain framework where we're willing to commit all the way when we public speak. So they're not seeing the depth of it, and they don't need to see the depth of it. They just need to see the creativity pie smeared in their face. Just give them the pie. It's nice, it's sweet, it's warm. They don't want to see how the pie was baked. They don't want to see all the ingredients. They don't want to see the flour and the butter and the cherries and the apples and the whatever. They don't want to see all that. They just want to see the pie. Creativity is about acknowledging that human beings have a susceptibility to halo effect. And it's not just leverage that they have a susceptibility to, meaning you're plugged into a marketing system. It's not just industry-specific systems. It's not just social media agencies. It's not just social proof. It's not just fame. It's also creating that image through creating halo effect in the moment. The way we do that is we have entitlement. We never share doubt. We leverage the track record of those we work with. We talk with confidence. We we dress the part, we walk the part, we never run out of things to say. We're able to talk about anything. We're able to talk with conviction about anything. We're able to quickly give a pitch, meaning the vision of where we're trying to get to, the business model of that vision, and the team that we have surrounding ourselves, or we're surrounding ourselves with. You're able to give that pitch in 30 seconds or less. And that's downloaded into the software of your brain, and so on and so forth. So it's creating halo effect beforehand through leverage, social proof, fame, whatever, and being able to create halo effect in the moment. And when you stack this up, this gives you a massive edge. And now if you stack this up your creativity can be super limited, but people will perceive you as being more creative than you are. And this is the power of social proof. This is the power of fame. This is a chink in the armor, a gap in the human brain. It's like a misfiring almost. It's a caveman misfiring. What I mean by that is, if there was the alpha caveman, the warrior, the chief, whatever, and that person was wrong about something, you may still, if you're in the caveman tribe, you may still bob your head up and down, huh, yes sir, because that individual had status in your eyes. It's no different here. Now, is Britney Spears the best singer? No. Is she the most creative artist? No. Is she bad? No, not necessarily. But is she the best? No. You probably know girls in your high school or middle school that sung at the talent show that were better than Britney Spears. And that's true. There's probably there's at least somebody you know who's better than Britney Spears as a singer. Because Britney Spears is plugged into a record label and she's marketed to the masses and she goes on a tour headlining in front of tens of thousands of people, what does this mean? This means that the masses of people, because they're hypnotized by that halo effect, will perceive Britney as being more creative than she actually is. Now let's give you another example. Look at Kanye West and his album Yeezus. If Yeezus was done without Kanye West having a track record of all these other great albums, if for those of you that don't know, Yeezus is like this experimental album that sounds kind of wacky but kind of good at the same time. If Kanye did not have that track record, and he didn't have all that success, and he didn't have all that fame, his creativity with Yeezus would not be interpreted in the same way. So what does this show you? This shows you once you start getting more status, once you start getting more famous, once you start getting more popular, once you have a crowd, then your weird quirks will get misinterpreted in a positive way. Even your lack of creativity will get interpreted in a positive way. That being said, that's not what we want to shoot for. We don't want to be Britney Spears or Kanye in that specific instance. We want to be our best creative self in front of an audience. When you're your best creative self plus audience equals you look inhuman to them. You look like an alien to them. You look like a god to them. And that's where you want to play. Here's the thing, as I said before, there's the perception from the public and there's the actual value that you're bringing to the table. You can bring great creativity in front of an audience. And why did I give you that equation? Because if you're your best creative self, that means you actually have creativity that's going to differentiate you and make you look amazing and inhuman. And if you're in front of the audience, that gives you social status and social proof, which further reinforces how awesome your creativity is. So that's the formula. That's the formula. That being said, though, remember I said that people don't value you for the actual value that you're bringing to the table. They value the perception usually more than the actual creative value that you bring to the table. So what does this mean? So yes, you're bringing creative value in front of an audience, but the thing you must realize is that that very audience will never know what you had to do to gain those kind of creative skills, to gain that creative insight, and to be able to display that level of creative differentiation in front of them. They don't have a clue because you put in blood, sweat, tears, had different mental frameworks, had to do your little exercise of getting into the moment to even understand creativity at a high level, so on and so forth. You have to do all this, and then you have to find out how to package it up and then inject it in front of an audience, and they just stay there and they just take it in. So they're just taking in it's like an iceberg. They're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. They're not seeing the iceberg that's underwater, and there's more iceberg underwater than there is sticking outside the water. So you have to be comfortable with that. You must be comfortable with that. And don't expect people to understand what you went through to gain that kind of creative edge. They won't understand it. It doesn't matter, because if you have creative expression done at at your best level, plus an audience, aka social proof or fame or leverage, so on and so forth, that's what's gonna give you that inhuman-like effect in front of other people. And that's why if someone's a fan of a guy like Kobe Bryant or someone's a fan of McGregor and they don't understand all the work that went into that, they will look at McGregor and they will look at Kobe Bryant and they will shake and they will get nervous and they will get super excited, or they'll act weird. They can't even be themselves in front of that level of status because they look inhuman now. And that's what you want to think about in terms of implementing that kind of formula for your own life. Ask yourself, where could you implement that formula for your own life? Top tier creative expression plus leverage, fame, social proof, an audience. How can you implement that formula into your own life to look inhuman? So chapter 3 is about the paradoxes. The first paradox is that when you start to get into a more creative headspace, oftentimes puts you more into flow, more into the moment, so that you can gain more of a creative edge. But unfortunately, with getting more into the moment, getting more into flow, this has a tendency to take you out of logic because you're playing more into this instinctual headspace, or you're playing more with instinct, you're playing more with intuition, you're playing more with kind of downloading flow state and kind of an image or an archetype of an image on what you kind of want to be, and you're following this inkling, and your intuition and your subconscious is kind of gravitating towards a certain image in terms of the image that you want to project out into the world and the creative output you want to have through your craft. That can take you out of logic. So there's a couple solutions for that. The first solution is view it like when you're going to start implementing creativity, it's kind of like your head's going to go into the clouds. You're going to go really into flow, you're going to go really into the moment, but every once in a while, you need to take your head out of the clouds and do the accounting of your business. You know, every once in a while, you need to take your head out of the clouds and make a hire. You need to take your head out of the clouds and do some boring menial task, and that's okay. But if you want to play more in the creative realm, that's fine. Play more in the creative realm with your head in the clouds. Implement more delegation. Maybe hire people who can do more of the boring work for you while you focus more on the work that's creative, or you focus more on building yourself out into this creative entity, so on and so forth. That's the first pitfall that can happen. The second pitfall is that you begin to believe your own bullshit. You know, if you look at McGregor after Khabib, he goes, Khabib is running scared. Khabib is running scared for his life. And we'll put a clip in here.
It could be because of your animosity towards him, or because you know you could have done better.
No, I'm just having fun with it all now. He is trembling. That man is trembling. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. You know, you get it, and he's trying not to lose it again. So
all these comments about, oh, he needs to win 10 fights and stuff like that, you're not buying that.
I just smell shit. That's all it is. He's afraid, and that's it. But everyone wants it. The boss wants it. Dana wants it. We all want it. So he can run, but he cannot hide. So I look forward to it.
Khabib beat McGregor. Of course he's not running scared. Too much believing that you're this like godlike figure, this inhuman figure, this creative entity. You're your own version of the Black Mamba or the Celtic Warrior. Too much of believing that can disassociate you from reality. You can't see the reality that's in front of your face. Maybe you need to get your head out of the clouds, get your head out of creativity, and look at objective reality so that you can actually move ahead and win. Maybe it's not the time for you to work on creativity at all. If you're trying to work on creative output and you haven't done the boring foundation, you haven't laid the foundation into the fundamentals brick by brick, by brick, by boring brick, by boring brick, day after day after day, 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours, up to 10,000 hours, 20,000 hours, 30,000 hours. If you haven't gone through that process yet, don't even worry about this. This is too advanced for you. This is for individuals that want to play at that more advanced level and have differentiation, have a competitive edge, and frankly just get better at marketing and project more of an inhuman image to the world to get more halo effect. That's what the creative edge in terms of how you represent yourself and creative representation through your craft, that's what this video is for. But it means that you have to start with the foundation first. And the other side of it is you don't want, as I said before, to dovetail back into what I was saying, don't disassociate. Don't disassociate. If don't live in this imaginary world or a fictitious world or a fantasy world or a fairy tale reality if you haven't lived in objective reality first. So creativity comes later. What are some other pitfalls that we may fall into? Well, realize that you think you want to create this like godlike image in front of your audience. You want to have halo effect in front of your audience. You want to look different in front of your audience. You want to be polarizing. You want them to love you, not like you, but either people look at you and they hate you or they love you. And for the audience that loves you, you think that's all upside? You think it's all upside to have this kind of savage mentality in front of your audience? Remember, as I said in the last chapter, potent creative expression plus an audience. Potent creative expression plus an audience, leverage, systems, marketing, fame, social proof, status. That effect of having people shiver around you and not being able to be themselves around you is not all upside. It's upside in terms of they think you look amazing, but guess what? Familiarity breeds contempt. If that person was actually around you and they saw you burp or they saw you peeing in the urinal next to them, whatever, they would now, the halo effect would go down. You'd be like, oh wow, he's human? Oh my God, ugh. And they walk away. And whenever people idealize you because you look so different than them, because you creatively separated yourself than them, when they idealize you in that way, it shows you that they can, what's the opposite of idealization? Derealization? I don't know, what's the opposite of idealization? They can have an RES flip on you. They can flip, the same way they idealized you, they can immediately take you off the pedestal and hate you too, or think you're a weirdo too. And that RES is, you know, their selective focus is hanging on by a thread. So it's not all upside to look like this creative God-like figure, pump a halo effect onto people who meet you all the time. Because number one is that when people are intimidated by you or overexcited to be around you, they're not even looking at you as a human being anymore. They're looking at you like Michael Jordan dunking from the free throw line, meaning that they have a number one, they have a vested interest, meaning they might think you're like this amazing, they put you on a pedestal only because they want something from you. They want to be famous by association. They want a picture with you to look like to elevate their own status, to show their friends, but it's not because they actually care about you, so on and so forth. There's all kinds of issues that come with that. And I'm not a celebrity, but if you see the issue now, but I'm not a celebrity at all. I do have audiences that I speak in front of, so I could see these things playing out. You can only imagine for a real celebrity, an A-list celebrity, the kinds of things that they have to deal with, how they have to filter. And especially if that A-list celebrity is highly creative, then it makes it even worse. Like if you look at Leonardo DiCaprio, in your subconscious, your subconscious doesn't always know the difference between a movie and reality. Your subconscious will look at DiCaprio and go, oh my God, he survived the Titanic, check. He was the right guy in the Revenue who survived the bear attack, check. Oh, he was the Wolf of Wall Street guy and partied, check. You walk up to DiCaprio, your subconscious is going to be freaking out. You're like, this is like the ultimate alpha of the tribe of the universe. You know, you can't be normal in front of him. So there are downsides to pumping a massive halo effect. There are downsides to creative expression. There are downsides to having a creative edge. And the biggest downside, and we touched on this just a second ago, or a minute ago, is that you'll want to have this creative edge before you master the fundamentals first. You always, always, always have to think about doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason. And if Kobe Bryant, to beat Allen Iverson in I think it was the 2001 NBA Finals, he studied sharks. Now that's what we call holistic thinking, not linear thinking. Linear thinking is going, okay, I have a basketball game, study more tactics, study more strategy, study more game film. Holistic thinking is going, I'm going to study something completely left field and draw parallels from something left field into what it is that I do. Now, when people hear about Kobe Bryant studying sharks, you're gonna go, well, I'm an accountant, let me study a shark. No, it doesn't work like that. Oh, I'm a musician, let me study a shark. Doesn't work like that. Now, let me give you some context. Why did he study the shark? Because when the seal is on the top of the water, the shark uses a certain angle to cut off the seal and kill it. Because it's the path of least resistance, because our DNA wants to save time and energy, because we are lazy deep down, our brain will rationalize, it'll make excuses. Because we don't want to focus on the fundamentals, our brain will first gravitate to, oh, Kobe Bryant studied a shark to defeat Allen Iverson in the 2001 finals. He studied the angle of the shark. How about I study something that's completely left field? And we'll do this in the form of, let me watch another Joe Rogan podcast. Let me read another book that has not much to do with my craft. Let me watch another self-help video that has not that much to do with my craft. So on and so forth. We find subtle ways to rationalize this when we haven't gone down to the nitty-gritty of what actually produces results, which is always the fundamentals, the tactics, and the baseline strategy, and taking massive action on those three things. Do the proven shit that works first. Worry about the sharks and creativity later. That's the advice that has worked for me. That's the advice that has worked for a lot of people. And if you're looking at Kobe, that's the advice that even worked for him in that example. Why? Because he was a great basketball player and a champion, and then he said, let me add something from nature, aka studying the angle of the shark or whatever, to get differentiation, to add something new to my game to defeat somebody. But you only get to study your version of the shark, aka your version of some different podcast, aka some different version of a book, so on and so forth. You only get to add in something different, some different body of knowledge, once you have mastered the fundamentals of your craft first. And even with that Kobe example, how much do you think do you think he really studied a shark to defeat Allen Iverson? Or do you think he said that for marketing? Who knows? It could be what he really did. It could be for marketing. Who knows? So that being said, the value that you bring to the table will not always get valued. If you have creativity, this can allow you to market yourself better. It can also, and if you have authentic creativity, this can also mean that true art will resonate with people, aka the Black Mamba, aka the notorious Conor McGregor, the Celtic Warrior, whatever. Those two things, pull away the things that are hurting our mental energy, all the things in conditioning that I listed before. That way we can lock into the moment, lock into a flow state, and even understand what downloading creativity into ourselves would look like. What does it mean to resonate and have our mind constantly generate creative ideas? To where that's just what happens. Most of this video, this video is not scripted. I'm just doing this off the dome. That comes from having a creative brain. But, just like I said before, you have to learn the fundamentals first. I will script certain videos and then improvise around those topics. So they go hand in hand. Fundamentals and then creativity on top. So remember that, all those things I just said. The next thing is take yourself into a framework to where you feel like you're complete now. That way your brain is not being drained by thinking about, oh, I'll become that person in the future. And when you're feeling complete now, your cup runneth over with energy and cup runneth over with creativity. And then from there, I want you to think about how you can use this to become inhuman in the eyes of others. How can you use authentic creative expression plus having status and social proof and fame and so on and so forth? How can that make you inhuman in the eyes of others? And then think about avoiding all the pitfalls, not getting lost in creativity to where you forget the fundamentals, not getting lost in creativity where you forget delegating, not getting lost in creativity to where you forget logic, not getting lost in creativity to where you become disassociated and crazy and thinking that you're this amazing person when your objective results are not reflecting that. So that is what I'll leave you guys off with, and I'll see you guys in the next video.